Right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
I think we got time for a quick trend. Well, we don't have that many people here. Let's just go around the horn. Last week we talked about business planning. Just want to get a feel for who actually did the business plan with their DA. So Jenny, you're raising your hand. Like, what was that experience like? I mean, tell us about it.
Well, interestingly enough, we did this yesterday.
Ah,
We went through the business plan document and we talked about, this year's VTO versus the 2025 VTO, the why. And then we talked about, the goals every month in terms of landed sales. And then wanted to make sure we were comfortable with that, even though that's more of the business plan, we developed a stretch goal for him as well. And then what did we do? And then we broke it down and filled out the weekly GSNR. So we went through the whole, the business plan document. We went through each of
okay.
the.
So on his VTOs, like you did a 1 year and a 3 year, you said?
Mhm.
Like what are his VTOs?
Yeah, for this year or for 2 years or both?
Both. Let's do both.
All right, so for this year, he basically wants to, I didn't know this, but I thought he owned his house, but when he had a divorce, apparently he sold the house and now he's renting. So I always thought he owned the house, but he doesn't, and
Oh.
he told me he wants to save. Huh?
We lose the house in the divorce, okay?
Yeah,
Just so you
right.
know, all right?
So yeah, exactly. Everything was taken away from him. No. So I didn't know this, but he said he wants to save money to put down payment for a house. Obviously, right now is not a good time to buy a house, but he wants to save money so he can hopefully.
Oh, you hit mute by accident, Jenny.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he wants to save money to buy a house. So in 2 years, he wants to buy a house, but right now for this year, he wants to save money to buy a house. He also wants to target about $70,000 in sales every month. So he wants to try to get to that level because, when I hired him, I said, how much do you need to make? And he says, really, I need to make at least 5,000 a month. So the business goal numbers are it's not gonna suffice. So basically he wants to at least do about 70,000 every month. And then the last thing for this year is he wants to pay off his car loan. There's not a lot of, I think there's only several payments left. So he's hoping to, pay off his car loan. So that's this year's VTO. In 2 years, he wants to buy a house. In 2 years, he's like, hopefully I have enough money saved where I can buy a house. And then he wants to be in the top 10% of the DA in the system in 2025. He wants to be in the top 10%. And then lastly, he wants to take his 2 siblings on a really nice trip in 2 years because his dad is very sick and very ill, and they've been taking care of him. And they made a lot of sacrifices in their own lives to take care of the father. And so he really wants to, take them on a really nice trip to thank them for all their efforts. So that's pretty much his VTOs.
I think I need to take a break. I need to go cry for a little bit here, okay? I mean, because that was like,
Yeah, it was deep.
so that's exactly what you want. I mean, that's going to inspire and motivate that guy because, all that personal stuff in there.
Yeah, a lot of
Oof.
personal stuff. But I do want to say one thing, because to be honest with you, he was a little discouraged. Okay. I had to go to Canada last week for a Momentum group trip. And he, when I came back, I said, did you dial into the webinar? He says, yeah, I did. He goes, I'm kind of glad that my other DA in class, he's like, you better be glad John wasn't sitting in. I said, why is that? He goes, because Tom Wood opened up the webinar and basically said, he basically said, hey, the leads is a challenge. It's not like where it used to be. We're going back to normalized years, blah, blah, blah. And then he says something like, and it wasn't bad. I already talked to Nathan about it. Nathan's like, well, maybe he took it negatively, but it's not supposed to be negative. It says that a lot of the DAs do leave after a couple of months because they don't make money or something like that. So he said, Jenny, yeah, so I felt a little bit of discouragement from him in terms of his ability to make money.
Yeah, you got to
I
keep him away from Tom, okay?
know,
That's
right?
step
I'm
one.
like, what the hell is he saying? Scaring off my DA?
What the hell were you
You know?
thinking?
Yeah. So, and this ties into kind of his VTOs. Like he wants to make at least 70,000. And if he hears that, he's thinking, am I going to? Because I'll be honest with you, leaves has slowed down quite a bit. Like the last 2 days, we just sat together and did more, other things together, but it slowed down. We haven't had an appointment in the last 2 days. And then we had 4 cancellations yesterday. So he's, I think, feeling a little discouraged, but when we went through the business plan, I said, I'm going to help you to achieve your goals. I want you to make money and I want you to achieve your goals, and I'm going to help you do that. And I'm going to have to figure out a way to make sure he has leads. So, because he's doing very well. I mean, I think customers love him and all that kind of stuff. So I just need to help him to be encouraged again.
Awesome. Well, you've gotten nice since you went to emerging. I mean, you used to be a lot tougher. You're just soft now, man.
I'm softy, man. Yeah. I'm losing my energy. I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, I'm being more understanding. So yeah.
Oh, no, all good. Hello, Linda. Long time no see.
Oh, hello. Yes. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Good.
All right. So, well, that was a great intro to what we're doing here. So, I mean, that business planning, I love how you got personal with the VTOs, Jenny, because that's really good. It's what's going to motivate people. Just to touch on what Tom covered, he covered this in a company-wide call, so it's not top secret information here or anything. So he basically was making the point that our economy is not down; it's stable as a whole. Our sector, the home improvement sector, is down. Okay, and it's a lot of it is pulled back from the previous 2 years with the conditions that we were facing, where people weren't traveling, weren't going to restaurants, and they were looking at their ugly floors as they were like quarantines, so we had a surge there. Okay. And that's run its course. Okay. So now it's back to normal business. People like Joe and Linda know when you first started, back in the day, PPA wasn't like a big, like driving forward. You had to get out there and make it happen yourself with Connect leads and building your your book of business. So it's more normalized in that sense, like it used to be in 2019, basically. Fortunately, a lot of people in NFDP weren't in business in 2019 yet, so we don't know any better. And Linda and Joe, if you can back me up, I mean, is that pretty much what was it like when you started?
Well,
Go ahead, Linda.
well, when we started, it was FCI gave us a bottle of crack cocaine, and they said, just take this, and this will give you all the leads you want. And it was crazy expensive, and I feel like I'm in rehab right now trying to get off the crack cocaine.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm doing I've got 2 DAs, and crack cocaine means the PPA. So what I'm doing with my DAs right now, I've got 2 of them, and they're each going to take a day off, usually Tuesday or Thursday. I'm going to run appointments on those 2 days, and those are that is their day to do their local marketing.
It's awesome.
So we're looking at some different things. One of my new DA is thinking he wants to actually do some kind of digital marketing. So if he gets leads from that, then that's great. Those are his, and he gets the extra 2%. And then my other one will do some other things. So yeah, it's quite a bit different, and it's definitely a shift, and it's hard so my new DA, that's his mindset. When he was hired, it was like, yeah, he's going to have to get his own leads. Not all of them, but he's going to have to get some of his own leads. But my older DA has been around with me for over a year, and he's used to getting, those PPA leads. And he says he doesn't have time to do local marketing. So I'm just going to clear the calendar to give him a day to do local marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you going to say something, Joe?
No, as you say, back early on, I started in 2016. And so for the first couple of years, we could rely on Angie, who was home advisor at the time, And we didn't really do or focus a whole lot on local marketing. We built that up over time, because we realized it was a better source of leads and better all around. So it wasn't until really the last 2 years that things have really shifted, and we've dropped off on the digital leads. So we're still in that kind of mode right now. So we've always had a goal to get to 60-70% of our leads or our revenue from local efforts, and we're basically there. We've been there for a couple of years, but it's getting tougher, and the digital leads are definitely going down. So we preached to both of our DAs. Erica's been on for a couple of years, and she's done a great job. Like last couple of weeks, actually last month, almost all of her closing has been on stuff that she's developed herself, from local arrangements. So Richard's just getting into that mode, and he's not as well established in the community yet, but he's working and going out. He was out on a couple of things with me yesterday. He's a veteran disabled vet, so he was able to go and meet the local guy in charge of the VA or the VFW post here locally yesterday at a chamber event that we went to, and they've invited him to the VFW now. So that'll give him another network to start working into. So I'm looking for affinity kind of things like that for him to get involved in. But he knows he's got to. He's been in this business before, and so he understands the importance of developing a local network and leads. So we're really highly focused on that.
You taking all this in, Armando?
Mhm.
Hope
I'm
you're
taking it
notes
all
here.
in. I've been reaching out to some of the people that I worked with before when I had my flooring business, but mainly real estate and also property management companies. So that's what I'm working on. Yeah. So hopefully we start getting some leads. Okay.
All right. So let's get this show on the road here. I'm gonna share a screen. All right, Grant, I can't see who's coming in and out anymore, okay? All right.
I got you covered. I
All
got you
right,
covered.
man. All right. Talking about GS&Rs today, okay? Last week we talked about the, building the sales culture and all that good stuff. So let's just kind of like review like what we talked about.
What
I
about
remember
this guy? He has his own material. He wants just installation.
All right, I'm gonna hit mute. All right. Someone's producing a job there, it sounds like. All right. So our sales culture, we talked about some of the key elements. Anybody remember what the elements were? Who was on here last time? I won't quiz anybody here. So we talked about the infrastructure, celebrating wins, keeping score, sales practice sessions, and then ride-alongs. And we kind of got into ride-alongs a little bit. The whole thing is you got to make it fun. All right. Today we're focused on the infrastructure piece. We started that last meeting, talked about the DA business plan. Some of you, like Jenny, have already done that. And today we're going to be hitting on the GS&R, which is like a continuation of the business plan, more or less. And then also part of the infrastructure, like ride-alongs and practice and all that stuff. So some of the future sessions are going to be devoted to that. Like I think Arlen's got a whole session just devoted to practice sessions, on how to practice, on things like that. So today we're on the GS&R though. Okay, so first, what does GS&R even stand for? Anybody know? Linda Leach.
Setting and review.
Goal
Goal
setting.
set and review. There you go. All right. Goal setting and review. So what are some of the key elements? I'm going to put some of the key elements like to a successful GS&R. First off, 30 to 45 minutes. Like if you're doing this routinely, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or whatever, it's not a long meeting. If all the prep is done, it's a check-in, update, what are we doing this week, type routine. Okay, so don't make it something that bigger than it has to be. Just make it part of your culture, basically. Just part of the routine. And the DA should be leading this, you know. The owner, the franchise owner is, is kind of steering the ship, but the DA should be like, in charge of this process, because they should own it, and where they stand, how they're doing, what they need to improve on, all that stuff. You just got to just make sure it's the right things, basically. And then, it's a quick review, on or off. We're going to get into the specifics here, but we're looking to set goals, for the current week and come up with a plan. Like the whole thing is to problem solve and come up with a game plan going forward. Okay, and then if more coaching is needing, like you want to schedule something there. Okay, so let's talk about the steps real quick here. All right. Well, first one is prep. Okay. We're going to talk more about prep, but it's probably the key to the whole thing is the prep. Okay. Then there's a transfer in to start the GSNR, and we're going to talk about all these steps here, and then a VTO and ROC review, from the business planning session. Like we kind of mentioned, it's an extension of the business plan. Well, we're going to be talking about VTOs. You're going to be reminding, Beto that he's saving for a house all year. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be in his head. And then like the quarterly ROC reviews, and that's a 5-minute deal, on or off. Okay, it's not, a really big discussion around this. So like we're 10 minutes in, 5 minutes to transfer in, 5 minutes for the VTO ROC review. And then we're looking at the scorecard for about 15 minutes. And, the scorecard, which we're going to touch on today as well, it's not the answers, it's only the questions. It's when you look at it, it's not, okay, so it shows you where to go look. And then you got to get in there and solve problems there. But, it's not the main part of this thing. You want to spend at least 30 to 45 minutes solving problems. If it's whatever you identify in the scorecard as the issues, the goal of this thing is like to resolve that. And then a short little recap at the end, just to make sure everybody's on the same page on what we're doing this week. All right. So that's kind of the steps involved in the thought process there. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the prep. All right. So there's DA prep. What would you like to see like your DA do as far as prep for one of these meetings? What do you think they need to have in place?
You need to complete the GSNR form.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So along with that, they want to update results in the GSNR, like Jenny said, they should have an idea of their numbers prior to, they should be looking at their scorecard and kind of figuring out, what they need to work on, what's going well, wins and losses, and then maybe even fill out some of those, what they think they should be working on. And I say potential here because, we've got to make sure they're aligned, as the franchise owner, but, make sure that they have an idea of where they want to go this week and what they want to work on. And then they should be sending you this, prior to the meeting. This is key because your prep is their prep. You're going to go over their prep and do your own due diligence on the same aspects there and make sure that they're seeing the correct vision. Like if they think that, oh, well, I need to increase my close rate. Maybe it's not close rate. Maybe there's a bigger issue there. But so you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page as far as what the opportunities are. And so this is key because your DA might not be on the same page as you, and now this going into the meeting. You can mentally prepare for that, or they might be aligned with you, which would be a very pleasant surprise. And you can really get into solving problems, as opposed to steering the ship towards the correct problem. And then any kind of notes you had from the previous week on, any kind of ride-alongs that you did or training sessions, et cetera. Okay, so don't underestimate the value of this, almost to the point where if you don't get the prep, I would think about rescheduling, because everyone's got to be in the right headspace on this, or it's going to be a 2-hour meeting. You know, if everyone is prepared for the meeting, it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and you game plan and get out of there. You know, sort of like a huddle as opposed to a team meeting. You know, and so we talked about the template here. This is what the DA is going to be sending, and we're going to break this thing down here in a second. All right, so you want your DA like to fill in the objectives, you know, like update last week's objectives, where they are with their rocks and VTOs, just have an idea of where they're at here. All right, so the first section was the transfer in, you know. So why is this thing so important? Why do we invest the time to kind of ease into this thing and transfer in? I'm hearing crickets out there. Come on now. Linda Leach, come on now, help me out here. We go way back, all the way to the,
I would say, just, you know, it's not about business. It's about, you know, I like you, what's going on in your life. I care about you. It's not just about whether you met your goals or not.
you know what? Well said. In fact, Grant and I had a meeting the other day. Well, you met with the Shepherds, right? Describe how you position what Linda just said. Like she kind of reinforced like what you told them, right? About how important they are and all that.
Absolutely. You know, I think it's easy to forget as owners, and Armando, I know you're a DA, but as owners, you know, you get very busy and everything is operationally oriented, but you have to remember that, you know, you want to be inclusive with your DA in terms of what you're all trying to achieve. They're a vital and important part of the organization, and just taking a half step back and, you know, remembering to invest in the person in addition to the design associate, right? They're one in the same body, but they're very different things. There's a design associate, but there's also a person in there. You know, Linda's, you know, as we heard earlier, Jenny, on your situation with how much Beto has going on. You know, it's very important that you build a relationship with the person that is intertwined, but also very different than the relationship that you have with the DA part of him or her. So I think that's really well said, Linda. And I think something that as owners you have to be very mindful of, because if you invest in that person as much as you do the DA, you're going to get twice as much out of the individual collectively. And it's easy to forget, right? I mean, because you default to business without thinking about it. So just something to be mindful and conscious of.
And many of you may not have met Grant yet. He's the newest member of our team in NFDP, and we work together in the scalability camp. As you can see, we work side by side in the same group, and the level of intelligence has gone up significantly since he joined. So we're happy to have you. I call it, when he wears those glasses, I call him Clark Kent, just so you know. Okay, I mean, I look at him. All right. All right,
These
so-
glasses are a recent thing. I'm enjoying the beauty of losing my sight for the first time in my life. It's very frustrating. So, but
I'm thinking about donning a pair just to look smarter. I don't know. I think it might help me. All right. All right. So we talked about the why there. I mean, those two statements right there from Linda and from Grant, don't take this one lightly. I mean, this is a big one. And it's often overlooked. You're like, okay, let's get down to business, you know? So we should let you take a minute, you know, and humanize the whole thing, because your DA's really got to feel like you're there to help them and support them and not evaluate them. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole key to this thing. It can't be a grading session. You know what I'm saying? All right. So the top part of the form was the VTOs, you know, and it sounds like we got Beto's VTOs here, except for the last one, probably. All right. But, you know, so the DA is going to run through this on or off track. You know, what are the issues? But, you know, it's a 5-minute conversation for this whole section here, you know, with the close rate. They want to be at a certain close rate. Connect, I think these are good rocks to have. Like you heard Joe mention the value of connect proposals. Like he's been doing it since 2016. it's paying off. So all that stuff, should be aligned with your goals as a branch, okay? Like, you should have some kind of goal around connect proposals for the branch, and your DAs aligned with that, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by the alignment. Their rocks and VTOs gotta be in service of the branch, Are they gonna work for you guys as well? Everyone's gotta win or it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna work, all right? So you just wanna avoid the rabbit holes here. Like, you don't wanna get in a big conversation about any one of these. It's more or less on off track, what's the issue, and then we'll deal with the issue down below in the problem solving stage of this thing, okay? All right, then there's the scorecard review, all right? You're gonna like review the dashboards together, and we're gonna pull up some dashboards on this call today and kind of go over some stuff, and identify the gaps versus the plan, very short to the point, like, and hopefully the DA is leading this part, from left to right on the scorecard there, and it's kind of talking through where they're at for the month, some of the best practices here, the prep, if you have an idea of what's going on before the meeting as an owner, and the DA should, understand where they stand as well, and understand what the performance looks like. We're going to use this mobile showroom calculator to identify the biggest impacts, what's going to give us, as Grant would say, is another one of Grant's sayings that I stole. What's your return on energy? We talk about a return on investment, but what's the biggest bang for your buck? What's worth spending the most time on? That's going to give you the biggest impact. So that's a tool that's going to help us show that, which we're going to get into as well. And then your DA is able to identify the opportunities and the wins. Always celebrate all wins. Okay, we're automatically drawn to what's deficient, so to speak. But and I got a good example of this coming up. Celebrate wins. Okay, because it's very important. And winning is fun. Okay, losing is not fun. So making it fun is winning too at the same time. All right. So note any opportunities, and try and save that for the problem solving stage of this thing. Okay. All we're doing here is identifying, knowing where to look, and then we're going to dig in here in the problem solving stage of this review. Okay. All right. We're going to play a little game here. Okay. Who likes games? Everybody like games? All right. Good.
Do you have
All right.
prizes?
So
Do you have prizes?
what?
I'm just kidding.
All right, so what's the opportunity? We're gonna play what's the opportunity here, okay? This is a DA's performance. What do you see here? What do you see as-
Proposals are behind.
Ooh, you like that special effect, Jenny? Are you
Yeah.
impressed with that? Proposals are an issue, right? This DA is down 13 proposals like during this time period, almost 20% down, okay? What else do you see here?
Sales
Behind
landed.
on jobs landed.
Well, so jobs landed, that could be a function of the proposals, right? Where's the close rate?
32.
Yeah, so it's a deadly combination. Proposals are down and close rates down at the same time. That's not good, right? And then
Leads are way off.
I think that's a reporting issue. All right, yeah, because the leads come in on the branch and all that, but yeah, thanks, Linda, for pointing that out. Appreciate it, right?
Just saying.
I thought we were friends, man. All right. So what's this RPP number here? It's revenue per proposal. Why is that an important number to look at?
That's the temperature. That's the health of the DA, of the business.
Right, it's the skill level or the health, as Linda said. It's how skilled are they? Okay, Now, is 2,000 good? What's good?
3,000.
3,000 is where we want to be, okay? Now for a newer DA, this might be pretty good, okay? I mean, when you look at the job size, her job size is good, okay? Yeah. Now, so when you're talking to your DA, so this is a big number for them, okay? So what this means, so if you're trying to drive proposals here, for example, okay? Conversation could possibly be, every proposal you write is worth almost $2,100, okay? So if you want to make more money, take the pressure off everything, write more proposals because they're worth $2,000 every time you do it, okay? That's how a DA, Armando, forgive me for saying this, that's how they think. That they're in it for the money, all right? They want to make, that's why they're in this position. That's why they took the job, okay? So speak to them in their language when it comes to this stuff, not all analytical, for this screen right here is, you want to use like the pull strategy here and make them want more proposals, okay? Make them see the value of getting more proposals. So it's not you telling them they need more proposals, okay? So you got to pull them in instead of push it on them, okay? And one of the ways to do that is with the RPP metric. So every time you write a proposal, it's worth over $2,000. So, you're 13 proposals off. That's, $26,000 in revenue and $2,600 in income. That's, $2,000 a month, however you want to say it, $2,600, that's a lot of money, for this time. So break it down like that. That's why the RPP number, that's why I like it so much, because it's something the DA, it's a simple way to explain how they can make more money, okay? And then, what's the super secret equation of the revenue proposal? How do you calculate it, Jenny?
Close rate multiplied by average job size?
Yes, times pi r squared, okay? No, just kidding about the last part, right? Exactly right. All right, so so you want to increase your revenue per proposal? Well, those are the two things. You got job size and you got close rate. You think job size is a big deal for this DA right now? No.
Pretty good.
It's good. So this is the opportunity, right? Just kind of back into it that way, okay? All right. So we talked about problem solve. So now we've gone through the scorecard and we've kind of identified, in this case, it's close rate, like whatever the issue is. Now we're going to get into it, and come up with like an action plan that's going to hopefully solve this problem. The first thing is, you have those objectives from this week, last week. Well, the ones from last week, we're gonna run through and see, did your DA do what they said they were going to do? Okay. And this is where the accountability piece comes in. If you set an objective, to have 2 one-on-ones in your BNI group and they didn't do that, that's something they control. Like Linda, like you're giving them the time and space to get this stuff done, right? On Tuesdays and Thursdays, you mentioned. So, there's some accountability here if they're not doing what they say they're going to do. Okay. Now, then we're going to set weekly goals, and if some of these might carry over from last week or there might be new goals, it really depends. So actions and behavior based, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by a behavior based goal, Gabe? What am I talking about here?
Something that you're going to do habitually every week.
Right. It's not like I want to be at 35% close rate this week. That's not a goal. Okay. That's not behaviorally based. That's an outcome. Okay. What are you going to do to get to 35%? Okay. Are you going to build a reference list? Are you going to make setup calls? Like, what are you going to do? No, that you have 100% control over. Okay. And that's why the accountability piece is going to fold in here. Like if I said, okay, I'm going to make sure that I do company story on 80% of my appointments this week. I'm gonna build a reference list. You know, I'm gonna take 3 pictures on a reference list and assemble the reference list, or I'm gonna make setup calls on every appointment. And I'm gonna call at night, I'm gonna call at different times. I'm gonna get a hold of 3 and make that setup call. I'm gonna make it happen, okay? You know, so those are things that, you know, you can hold them accountable for, you know? There's no extraneous environmental things they don't control there. I said I was gonna have 2 1-to-1s this week. You know, why didn't you do that? I gave you all day Tuesday to get that done. Yeah. So that's why we want to really drill down and make it. And then, you know, they got to be, you know, in service of the outcome. Okay. Now, if they do the reference list, is that really going to help them with close rate? You know, my humble opinion, it would. You know, and if it doesn't, try something else. But you know, whatever we're asking them to do has got to be in service of what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. So really make, and this is where you come in as a franchise owner, you know, you're going to see their goals are going to be like, you know, I want to be at 35% close rate. I want to close 10 grand this week, or, you know, outcomes. You got to keep these, like Jenny kept her VTOs personal. You want to keep this part very action and behaviorally based, because, you know, it's going to give them a sense of accomplishment that, you know, they have total control over the outcome. If they do it, or they can choose to do it or choose not to do it, you know, that's the choice, as opposed to it not being in their control at all. Okay, so very, very important part of that. So what are some actions or behaviors that are in service of close rate? I kind of mentioned reference list. Like, what's another one?
Follow-ups.
Well, so-
Follow up, huge, huge. That's like, I mean, that's probably the biggest one.
Right.
What about if somebody needs more proposals per week? If you determine that's the biggest factor, what are some actions or behaviors you'd want to see for in the GSNR?
Relationship building.
Right. You know, 1-to-1s, a visit, I work with Steve Dipolina. He's in Jersey. His DA went to some kind of a huge insurance company in his market. Like, you know, it's in Jersey, so it's a tall building, and you know, there's probably 5,000 or 6,000 employees in this building. She camped out in front of the break room with a table and got 3 appointments at lunch. You know, 3 appointments all day. She was there all day, only got 3 appointments, but she closed 2 of them, and one of them was 20 grand. All right.
Dang.
You know, and so now that's kind of her thing now. She's going, you know, you talk to the HR department and you can kind of get in there, and you know, that's kind of her angle right now that she's working. You know, she's in Jersey, and there's a lot of big companies based where she's at, so it's working for her. So, you know, that could be, you know, Steve kind of guided her through that. You know, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And you know, it's something she had control over, and you know, now she's getting proposals per week. She was the #1 DA in NFDP last month in April. And she just started in February. So, all right. So, average job size, you know, what are some, this is kind of a tough one, all right? Because you're kind of a victim of, you know, the lead you get, right? But what are some things that you have control over that can really drive average job size if that's an issue?
Upselling, expanding scope.
Amen. I mean, you know, for example, what's the first, so if someone's buying like a hard surface, okay, what's the first thing they're going to buy after that floor is installed?
A rug.
A rug. I mean, they're going to buy it from Wayfair or from us. It might as well be from us. Okay. So, you know, scope, like Joe said, adding rooms. We have a question in the process for that, you know, so maybe their takeaways. I'm going to ask that question on every appointment. Are there any other projects that you're thinking about doing? Or I'm going to recommend new baseboards as opposed to quarter round on every project, and, you know, and sell it in step 2. You know, I'm going to recommend rugs on every appointment. Okay, you might not, but those are things they control. And if you're riding with them or, you know, some form of validating that, you know, it's a really good, so that's something they control that will affect, you know, job size. Okay, it doesn't have to be, I'm gonna sell Dolce Vita for all my carpet customers, okay? It could be something realistic and something they can do.
Hey, Joe, one other thought on that, just to
Yeah.
expand, you know, the other thought, and I actually witnessed this on a ride along with Jenny. And maybe you can speak to it, Jenny, but the perception that, you know, a job is too small to take my time to do, right? I mean, no job should be too small, at least at the origin of it, because you never know what it could turn into, right? So, you know, making a mental assessment and a prejudgment on a job to say, well, it's not worth me really approaching it or pursuing it with the same intensity or same aggressiveness that I would something that I perceive to be bigger. You just don't know what one of those small jobs can become. And Jenny, I don't know how it turned out after the fact, but that small carpet install that I rode with you on, but immediately you and Beto were talking about the whole main floor. And, you know, couldn't have even imagined that when you walked in the door, knowing what you were, you know, what you were going there for.
Yeah, so guys, this was a labor only. The guy already had carpet and already had the pad. It was a 2-bedroom job, and I quoted him $485. And I flipped the price at the time of the appointment, and how embarrassing, he didn't bite. He said, I'm gonna get a couple of more estimates. Can you send me the quote later on today? So as we were leaving, I was like, okay, I feel like the biggest loser. I couldn't land a $485 job. But anyways, besides the point, what happened was found out that he's wanting to also sand and refinish the flooring of his hardwood because he feels like it's an outdated color, which it was. It was a bit of a mix match. So we kind of provided some options for him to say, hey, this is what we can do to update your home. He loved that. And then the third and the additional opportunity to that was, oh, by the way, we also need to do our basement, right? So by doing this, and then long story short, he did come back and decide to go with us on the $485 job, which is great. So
Yeah.
we already did it. We completed it last week. However, he did call me back and they were short on carpet. So they could only do one room. So then the customer said, hey, can you just cut the estimate in half since we only did one room? I'm like, no, because there's a minimum labor charge. So sorry,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
minimum
yeah.
labor charge is $450, but whatever. So anyways, that was a big win. I'm hoping that we can get job 2 and job 3.
All right.
Hmm.
Good stuff there. All right. Okay, so we talk about SMART goals, and we're kind of, so the goal's got to be SMART. You know, anybody remember like with the previous slide what SMART means? Specific, measurable, attainable, all that stuff. All right, so like all our examples of, I've pretty much been down that philosophy there. And then, all right, so this is the part of the form with the weekly goals and objectives here. Okay, so you know, this is this week on the bottom. So like, let's imagine this is the prep your DA sent. Okay, so these are, you know, are the kind of things, you know, they're good goals, but unfortunately, you know, they're not behaviorally based here. Okay, so you could leave it alone on the objectives and the action steps. You know, you can kind of fill in what he's going to do to get to that close rate, or you know, so okay, so you want to get to 35%, Beto. What are you going to do to get there? You know, and then that's the accountability piece of this thing. Okay, and it's, you know, it's very specific, and they've got to have control over it. Okay, you know, he wants to get like 2 connect proposals. Okay, you know, what are you going to do to get those? You know, what are you going to do this week that's going to be in service of getting those 2 proposals, and et cetera. Okay, so we kind of talked about this stuff already, but you know, and then next week, these 3 are going to flip up into the last week column here, and we're going to evaluate, hit or miss, you know, and then that's where the accountability comes in. All right, SMART goals, yeah, shared and measurable. All right, so make sure the goals that they had there, you know, are very specific, and there's no gray area there. You know, we've all heard this acronym before, so I'm not gonna. All right, so every presentation on goal setting, I always work in this slide because it's my favorite one, all right? One bite at a time, okay? And I stole this from Nate, but like, I know you like this one, Gabe, after your hamburger example the other day, all right? So what does this mean? What does this mean, Gabe?
I mean, it's the same as how you climb a mountain, one step at a time. You just
Yeah.
gotta keep going forward and take a bite at a time.
Yeah, so like, is getting, 10 connect proposals in a week, is that realistic? So we got to keep it real, and make sure that our DA is set up for success on that front, okay? All right. The tools of the trade here, okay? We have the GSNR template, which we're going to get into after this. Power BI, talked about the prep and all the ways you can look at Power BI. There's a DA verse plan, there's a lead source distro. You can look at your DA's lead source distribution by DA, and see what their connect proposals are. I'm going to show you all that stuff. And then you can also break it down by MIS by DA. So the Power BI is a valuable tool. My personal favorite is the mobile showroom calculator. I'm going to show you this one too, because it'll show you what the biggest impact is. It'll really visualize that, and making sure that we're working on the right things. And then I got a marketing benchmarks slide I want to show you. Stacy showed this at the company-wide call, and it's kind of a breakdown of all the types of leads that we have as a company and all the KPIs on each type of lead. And then we'll talk about ride-alongs for a little bit, and our friend, the Inspired Sales Competency Assessment here. Okay, so I'm going to do some Zoom gymnastics here. I'm going to pull up the template here, okay? All right, so this is what you had, Jenny, right? With the business planning, we had all these tabs down here, okay? So first I'm gonna show you Power BI, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is Power BI. I've got a DA versus plan report here, okay? This DA, for a rolling 60 days here, we played the game earlier, but she's 10 proposals off. This is like a 60-day period. So she's at 25, and her plan, which was uploaded into Power BI, is 35. So it's like she's off her plan there. Her sales are right on plan. Okay. Her average sale is pretty close. It's a little bit off. She's $200 off, only 4%, and her close rate's astronomical. Okay. So, and her margin is good too. So her revenue per proposal is over $3,000, which is where you want to be. Okay. So in talking, in her GSNR, where do you want to drive this conversation towards? Like where should it be heading? What's the opportunity?
More proposals.
More proposals. And, her name's
Imagine.
April. April, you're 10 proposals off the plan, that's like $3,000. Each proposal is worth $3,000 to you. Okay. That's $30,000 in revenue or $3,000 in your pocket. So we got to find a way to, the DA has to own this problem though. I heard somebody say, I got to make sure that I give them all these appointments. They own this. Okay. As the franchise owner, we're like, okay, what are you thinking? Like, what's your plan to get these missing proposals? Like, what are you going to do? And see what they say. Well, I'm going to wait for more PPA appointment. I'm going to wait for digital to kick, you got to make sure that it's the right answer, obviously. But, Lindy, like you kind of touched on this, like, sounds like you have had this conversation with your DAs by the actions that you took by, carving out time for them and things like that. So, they have to own this. It can't be the franchise owner solving this problem. Okay. You know, I work at NFDP. If Gabe is struggling with his proposals, he's the CEO of his branch. I'm his assistant, you know, I'm his helper. But ultimately, Gabe owns the proposals. Okay, you know, and same philosophy for the DA. You know, now we're here to help them. You know, not throw them to the wolves. You know, but there's got to be that sense of ownership on their part here. Okay. And then when you look at so when you dig a little deeper here, I pulled up the lead source, same time frame, you know, same DA. So like when you look at her breakdown here, you know, here's her 25 proposals that, you know, were here. Like she wrote 25. This is how her 25 broke down. Well, 3 of them came from Connect. That's a little over 10%. Okay. And 2 of those 3 came from Yelp, which I don't know why Yelp was even in Connect Bucket personally, but I'm not in the marketing department. But no, so really she had 1 Connect proposal in reality. All the rest are digital out of 25 proposals. Okay. Now, luckily, she's pretty darn good at closing. She's a highly skilled DA. I mean, look at her performance on Home Advisor, 50% close rate, $9,000 job size on 4 proposals. 3 ships is also PPA. She's 4 out of 7. Great stats there. She's killing it on PPA. So, you know, but with PPA slowing down, you know, she's not making her proposal count. Okay. So, you know, this is the big opportunity for her. You know, she has 100% close rate. This is probably a Connect lead that's misclassified, but, you know, she's 0 for 1, you know, on the referral piece, but she could be working that now for all we know. But no, so moral of the story is, where are her proposals? Where do they have to come from? You know, it's pretty obvious in this case, you know, from the Connect. And, you know, if I'm leading this GSNR with her, I'm getting her to see this herself and you know, and want to chase these Connect proposals. Okay. All right. So that's a scorecard review. And then, you know, pull this back up. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. Okay. Now, hold on a second. I have to go back to the GSNR. Sorry. All right. So this mobile showroom calculator is a way to help, you know, visualize what the biggest opportunity is. So I took April's numbers here. Okay. The same dates, 3/12 to 5/12. And if you remember, like from our plan here, you know, 25 proposals, close rate of 52, job size of 57. Okay. So I mirrored that here. You know, these are her stats right now in this time period. She's averaging, we'll call it 3 proposals a week. Okay. In the current state here, her RPP is $3,000, like we talked about, you know, and she's on track to make 44 grand this year. If everything continues the way it's going, she's going to make 44 grand for an annual, a full year. You think she signed up for 44 grand? Hell no. Okay. And you know, she's basically breaking even on her salary, whatever that is. I'm not sure, but you know, so she's not happy with this, and the owner's not happy either. Okay. So what if she went from 3 proposals a week to 4 proposals, just 1 more proposal a week? Okay. Well, that's going to get her, that's going to give her 3 grand this year, but more importantly, on an annual basis, it's going to drive our sales up to 62,000, 17,000 more in revenue for the year. Okay. Which equates to almost 2 grand, right? Okay. So that's just from 1 proposal. Now say she picked up $500 on her job size. Okay. Her RPP goes up to 3,300. Now she's going to pick up another 4,000 a year, we'll call it, 699 in this time period, but 4,000 a year as opposed to 17,000 on, and this is income. This is not revenue. This is actual income. Okay. So she's picking up 17 grand in income here with a 1 proposal a week increase. She's picking up 4 grand on a $500 job size increase. She's picking up, 5 grand a year on her actual income. Okay. What if her close rate? Her close rate's pretty good, but even if she picked up 5 points on her close rate, we're looking at another 4,300 in income. Her revenue goes from 44 to 49. She picks up 4 grand there. Okay, on the income. I'm sorry, I said revenue, but it's actually income. All right, so what if she does everything? Like chances are, if she's building her proposals through the Connect bucket, she is going to see a lift in her job size and her close rate and things like that. So all 3 of these variables combined here, she's now making almost 75 a year as opposed to the 44. Okay, so helping your DA see what the biggest impact is, hopefully you can get her to see, just picking up 1 more proposal a week, it's worth 3 grand this year, but 17 grand on an annual basis. So hopefully you're going to make her want to chase down these proposals, okay, and not say, yeah, you need to do this. Okay, so that's part of it. Okay, this helps you drill down on what you're trying to solve in the GSNR, if there's any question about it. Okay, say like you think it's proposals and your DA is focused on close rate. Well, here's your opportunity to figure it out with them. And then at the end here, Linda, you mentioned the follow-up. I like to go over, okay, so tell me about like what's going on. I want to see like your top 10, that you haven't landed yet that you're looking at closing. How can I help you close these? So top 10 customer list, strategic partners who they're working with. Talk about this stuff every week or every time you have a GSNR. Just keep it prioritized in the right place. All right, and then all right, so that's kind of it for the template. We kind of went through everything. I mentioned this marketing slide here. Another way to really bring home the importance of Connect, and everyone's talking about it anyway, but you want to get your DA to see it. So Stacy broke down all the types of leads. Like our digital leads are down here, our PPA, Service Magic, all that stuff's in here. Our network average close rate's 27% on these. Okay, the top 25 performers in the network are at 33. Okay, average job size 6,500 for the network. The top 25% are 7,500. Okay, so pretty mortal stats. Okay, RPP is $1,800, 2,500 for the top performers. Okay, so when you look at these top 2 here, your referral business, network average on close rate in the Connect bucket is 61%. Okay, 73% for the top performers. Everything's better. Okay, we know this as owners. We got to show our DAs this stuff too, because if you can get them on board here and willing to make that investment in time, because it's a huge investment in time and energy up front. Like you don't see instant gratification on this stuff, right? So showing them, the value of running 3 PPA appointments or investing time like Linda's doing with her DAs and not running those appointments and doing these activities, that's going to build this, this will show them and it's worth the effort. Too many times, like we're kind of forcing this on, I need you to do this. You need to do that. We have to really get their buy-in here. This is a really good way to do that. To show them, every proposal in referrals is almost 6 grand. 4,600 on average. Okay, and we're saying 3,000 is good, and our example DA was at 2,000. Well, if you invest some time here, these proposals are worth this much. You know, and then if you're a top performer, it's almost $6,000. So I'm kind of rambling on here because I mean, I don't
I
think
think
we
there's a
spent enough.
mindset, Joe, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, I think there's a little mindset opportunity here that I wanted to highlight, and that is, you know, when leads are slowing down, and we're seeing that happening across the board, and you have DAs that are probably on some level focused and frustrated with close rate because they're new and learning and trying to become more efficient, but they're probably also feeling the decrease in leads, right? So there's probably downtime. I hope I'm accurate in saying this, but there's probably is some downtime for DAs. And in that downtime, because you said earlier, instead of running appointments, go invest in Connect. Well, I think that there's probably enough downtime that it's not an either or an or. When the leads are there from PPA, you attack every one of them with enthusiasm, opportunity, and vigor, right? But if there's downtime, instead of sitting there as a DA and saying, well, where did the leads go? They should view every opportunity of lag, downtime, as an opportunity to go invest in Connect. It's like, okay, I have a quiet morning. I don't have an appointment between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. today. That's unfortunate, but actually it's great because it frees me up today on Tuesday morning between 8 and 1 to go and do 3 things that I'm going to create Connect opportunities. So it's a bit of a gift if you can create that mindset in your DA, right? Because there are going to be other days or other weeks when they're running 2-3 appointments a day. They won't have the time simply to invest in Connect. So a week gets away from them in that endeavor. So capitalizing and taking advantage of the days or the weeks when they can put time against Connect. In most cases, that's created for them by the gap of a lead. So, you know, look at it as an opportunity as opposed to a negative that there isn't another lead or an appointment there. Those are spaces in their calendar that they can go and invest in themselves. And I think it's a learning, like you got to teach them to think that way. So they're not dwelling on the negative of a lead or an appointment. They're focusing on the opportunity of a Connect.
Thanks, Grant. Okay. We're going to wrap it up here with ride-alongs. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So many of you are probably doing ride-alongs with new DAs. You know, so there's different types. There's learning, you know, and then there's supportive. Okay. So if you've had a DA that's been around for a while, you know, hopefully you're still riding with that DA, you know, and it's got to be part of it can't be a punishment. It can't be viewed as a punishment by the DA is what I'm trying to say. You know, if you're doing it every week and they're struggling and you're in the van with them, they hopefully feel that you're there to help them. Okay. But if you don't ride with them regular and they're struggling and you decide to hop in the van as a result of the GSNR, well, they're going to be up, their guard's going to be up. You're going to be, oh, I'm in trouble now. So the whole mindset is going to shift on the ride along. So really spend time with your DAs in the good times and the bad. And maybe the ride along is not a PPA appointment. Like I've got several DAs that are struggling with this whole Connect thing and going to BNI meetings, and you know some owners are getting pushback. And the example I showed you with April, she works for Marie. That's happening right now for Marie. Like she can't get her DA sold on the value of it, and her DA is, you know, nervous about going and doing these activities. Okay, so Marie's ride along is to go visit, is to do a one-to-one BNI meeting with her DA and model that behavior, and you know that's the ride along for them. It's not an appointment, you know. So whatever they need help with, you know, we should be trying like to be there and not just if something's going bad. You know what I'm saying? Brad's okay. All right, so let's see here. All right, and then you all know about the Inspired Sales Assessment, right? Trying to get my Sam Kinison slide up here. All right, let me see here. Sorry, I lost my share. too much
Hey,
going on.
Brad,
with my kid.
Brad, you look like you've gone from the space shuttle to NASA center control there all of a sudden. That's impressive. You were in your van for a moment. Now you look like you're literally ready to launch a rocket ship. So
Yeah. Yeah. Those shelves are so weighed down with information, they're Boeing. You see that?
yeah.
All right, so with the
Wait a minute, wait a
Sorry,
minute. Grant says that, and then he looks like he's in like a broom locker. The shelf in a wall.
yeah, his
I don't have a
Ansel
lot of-
Adams picture is like behind the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of clearance in my corner here right now.
Right.
Or quick corner.
All right, so that's really all I wanted to talk about today. Just main takeaways that we're hoping to get is, behaviorally based marching orders and game planning, and accountability on those, as well. But anybody have any thoughts or questions or comments before we go here?
I have a quick
Joe,
question.
will you send that slideshow out to everybody? I would love to have that.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah, please.
And the links to the Excel spreadsheet with the business plan, the GSNR, et cetera.
Yeah, I'll send that. I'll send you an actual Excel version of that. I'll send you the slide deck and the business planning tool because it's got the business plan, and it leads right into the GSNR. I like how it's all together because like the GSNR is like an extension of the business plan in a sense. And then I have a Calendly link on there too, Lynn. If you want to, I can help you like run through it if you want to.
Great, thank you.
I had a question.
Yeah.
I know Linda mentioned this and I hear a lot of franchisees say this, and I just wanted to know if anybody tumbled numbers around. I hear, if a DA gets their own lead, we give them an extra 2 points or whatnot, right? I hear that a lot. So my question is, for those franchisees that are offering that extra 2 points in getting their own leads, don't listen to this, Armando. I'm just kidding. I mean, does the owner really make money? Like, I'm
Hey,
just
I'm
like,
listening because I'm only getting one point.
Oh.
So I gotta talk to. No, I'm just kidding.
But I hear that a lot. I'm just wondering are people tumbling numbers and is it working, giving that extra 2%, because it's already tight as it is with our margins, right? So giving, let's say, a 10% average, commission and then tossing another 2%, which is 12%. I don't know. I mean, I haven't done the numbers or nothing like that. Has anybody done the numbers and does that work? Giving an extra 2%? That seems really high.
Brad's a numbers guy. Let's defer to him. You got something
He's-
built in like that, don't you, Brad?
He's got it in a book right behind him. Let him go.
I
grab the right
do.
book.
Yeah, it's one of those books. So I have it in there, but I hired my DA 2 months ago, and
Oh, okay.
it hasn't come into in the practically speaking. I haven't had to, dig into the numbers yet. I mean, I guess you got to weigh that against,
The cost of buying
otherwise
a
the
customer?
marketing cost, right? The cost of the lead, the alternative. And I think it serves my theory here. Again, I haven't done this yet, so we'll see how it plays out. But the theory or the thought process behind it is, one, weighted against otherwise whatever marketing costs you'd have generating otherwise. Two, I think it's a nice carrot because I when I was interviewing and recruiting, like that was maybe not the number one thing, but it was the top 3 thing was finding somebody who wants to develop their own book of business and via connect, however you want to do it. And that's what his first set of quarterly rocks are almost all around that. And I can't say for certain that extra 2% was, I don't know how he weighed that, how motivating that was, but I think it was a big one. So I don't know. We'll have to see how the numbers shake out. But the expectation is that he sells at 50. Now we do have a graduated scale too, but there's always going to be that extra 2%. But I don't know. I think from a volume perspective, if this is something that helps drive more top line, I think my theory is it's going to pay off. But could be wrong.
But do you have a tiered system for margin, Jenny? Like
I
your
mean, I
DSL?
do. Yeah, I do. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna make my guys sell at 50%. That's just, in my market, that's gonna be tough, but I am trying to incorporate an incentive for him to find his own leads. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, that's part of your job, buddy. Like you need to go get your leads, like, and I'm paying you to get your own leads. I understand that everybody's strapped for leads and it may be a good incentive. I just, the other thing too, I mean, we're all like hair on fire every day. There's so much to do. And then just trying to figure out which ones were the ones that he brought, to the table and trying to make sure that, you track those and giving, just the thought of, doing more work. But then at the same time, I mean, how many are we talking about? Like maybe extra 3 leads a month? I'm just thinking through all of that and just wondering if it really works and does it incentivize the DA to bring their own leads, and does the money work, because it's, our margin's already tight, right? So just curious to
Well,
see.
as a person who cares about your success, Jenny, I hope you have too many connect leads to keep track of. Okay, I really do.
I know that is
I hope
that's a
your
good problem to
right?
have,
Okay, so I just put some numbers together just real quick. I don't know if it really makes any sense, but let's just say average job size is $7,000 and your DA goes and gets a lead. Well, you're going to pay him an extra 2%. So that's going to be an extra $140 that I'm going to pay him. So I know if I'm comparing that with my PPA, I know my PPA is almost $300 for a lead. So I just got a PPA lead. I just got a lead for half price. Plus he has a better chance of closing that. So that's one thing. So I got to think that works. The other thing is,
Hey, Linda,
yeah.
because I think that's a great point, because the numbers you ran were on a landed job, comparing it just to a lead. So, that is revenue.
Yeah,
versus-
that's true.
and
That's true.
That which I think makes it make even more sense.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think that's.
No, that's
you
okay.
made it great.
I want to say something real quick because I'm in an office and I don't have privacy, but I do want to say my new DA is starting at 53% margin. He's in the DA class. He's not even finished. He begged me to let him go and run appointments on his own. And he ran 2 appointments on Tuesday. He sold both jobs and he sold them. I don't know the specifics, but it's probably around 50%, if not higher. So he started at 53%. So he's very strategic, and I won't be able to talk a whole lot more about that. But anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Well,
That
congratulations. Great work. Hey, Brian, check this out. You see that?
I can't believe we're an hour and 22 minutes into this call, and that's the first time you said something about that.
Joe, you are officially my favorite human. I love you, man.
All right, I'm definitely going to stop recording now, at least. All right.